Hello Shawnee students, this is Mrs. Delaney and this is our first flipped video lesson this year. We'll be doing this video lesson together in class and this will give us an opportunity to talk through the process together. You can practice writing a whisk and ask any questions necessary to help you understand the process better. The first lesson is understanding characters. You should have your flipped notebook, your spiral notebook open to a blank page. Put the date in the upper right hand corner and the title of the lesson, Understanding Characters. Each time you watch a video, I will have instructions for your whisk at the very beginning and at the very end. The instructions might vary from time to time, so I think that this is a good way to give you a heads up of what I'm going to be asking you to do after you view the video, and a reminder at the end once again. Today's video, you're going to write a paragraph, and that paragraph is going to summarize the 5 methods of characterization that we'll review in this video, and how they impact your understanding of a work of literature. Additionally, you're going to write just one question today about characterization. This could be a question you ask another student, or a question that seeks clarification from me or from another individual on the concept of characterization. Certainly, this is a review for practically all of you, but it's important to review this because characters and understanding characters is critically important to understanding literature. It's just like in our own lives when we try to understand others around us. The more we understand about people, the more we kind of have a grasp on how things work, and we tend to get along in our lives much better. So a review of the term characterization. It is a process in which the writer reveals aspects of a character in a literary work. And when I say process, it's not something where the author gives you all the information you need to know about a character on page 1. Just like when you meet someone new, you don't learn every single thing about them on day 1. Slowly, gradually, day after day, page after page, we learn more about people in our own lives and about literary characters. There are 5 methods in which an author characterizes, and an easy way to remember those 5 methods is with the acronym STEAL, S-T-E-A-L. And this acronym stands for speech, thoughts, effect on others, actions, and looks. In other words, appearance. And as a reader, it's very important for you to pay attention to each of these kinds of characterization as the story or the novel unfolds. And this is a way that you can better know the character through these 5 methods. So let's talk briefly about each one. The first method in which an author can reveal a character is through that character's speech. So it's important for you, the reader, to pay attention to the character's words and how they say them. And by how, the manner. Are they angry? Do they whisper? Do they shout? Do they grumble? So sometimes those tags that an author has, said Katniss, shouted Katniss, whispered Katniss, can tell you how the words are being spoken, and it reveals a little bit. So when you're looking at dialogue of a character, you're going to ask yourself, what is the character saying? How does the character speak? And what does this information tell me about this character? The next method of characterization is through a character's thoughts. When the author shares the character's thoughts, we're able to look inside of that character. And many times, we, the reader, know more about what goes on inside a character than other characters in the story do. And this kind of gives us an inside glimpse of what's what makes this person tick, so to speak, especially if the story is written in first person point of view. So when we think about thoughts, we have to ask ourselves what is revealed about the character through their private thoughts and feelings. Get to know a lot about them in that respect. I mentioned Katniss before, as you know, from Hunger Games, and I'd like to use her a couple times here for an example. Um, since that novel was written in first person, we were able to really look inside of Katniss's thoughts and get to know her very well. And there was one time in particular that I recall that she was thinking about what would happen if she won. She was kind of thinking that she might have a really good chance. And although it appealed to her, she revealed to the reader her thoughts about how her life would change and how the idea scared her. So we learned a lot from revealing those thoughts. The third way an author can characterize is through showing the effect of a character on others, other characters in the story. How do other characters interact with a character? Or how they feel about a character can reveal a lot. So in this case, you ask yourself, what is revealed through the character's effect on other people, and how do other characters feel or behave when they react to the character? Back to the Hunger Games again, I recall at one point of time, Peeta's mother said something about Katniss to the effect, she's a survivor, that one. And it was almost foreshadowing. So it seemed like kind of a useless piece of dialogue by someone who's not even a major character in the story, but it revealed what others thought of Katniss, and that helped open up some understanding by the reader about her. Additionally, I remember when Haymitch and Katniss were kind of having at it a little bit, and he didn't really like her very much in the beginning, and he kept telling her that she wasn't very appealing to the audience, and she was sullen and hostile. So he was thinking those things about her and telling her that this is how she was. And so another character in the story, was helping us learn more about her. Probably the biggest way that we learn about a character is through their actions. A character's actions can tell us a lot about them. And, you know, we hear the phrase, we've heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. And sometimes what a character does and how they behave can reveal much about them. So those are the kinds of questions you ask yourself when you're reading. How do they behave? And what are they doing to provoke the action or to perpetuate the conflict in the story? We learned a lot about Katniss through her actions in this story. Um, in the very beginning, when she volunteered to be the tribute instead of her sister Prim. Um, Later on in the story, when she collaborated with Rue, even though she was a competitor against her, they collaborated, and that tells you a lot about Katniss's character. And then finally, when she risked her own life to save Peeta by getting the medications that he needed to survive before the contest was over. So all of those actions reveal a lot about the character of Katniss. Finally, we take a look at characterization through looks. And a character's physical description can tell us something about him or her. We ask ourselves, what do they look like, and how the character dresses. A word of warning about that last one there, and this is part of your job as a reader. Just like in our own lives, do not focus too much on the surface features of characters unless they tell us something much deeper about the character. I wanted to mention a few other little tasks that you as a reader might want to undertake when you read to help you understand a character better. First, understanding a character's traits and how those traits interact in a character is very important. And I'll be giving you a list of character traits, and we'll be spending some time talking about identifying character traits within someone. Uh, And it's very important to always find the most accurate word to describe someone's character traits, and we'll do a lot of practice with that. Next, realize that we almost always modify or change our first impressions about a character. Just like when you meet someone new, you have first impressions, but often those impressions change and things are added to them, or things are subtracted to them, and they become richer and they become a more full person. So first impressions are sometimes okay, but just know that as you read, you're going to learn more about a reader and you'll change your opinion about him or her. Finally, as a reader, try to take on a variety of perspectives and the characters in the story. Put yourself in their shoes. Ask yourself, what would you do in their circumstances? If you try to see things from their point of view, sometimes you can be more sympathetic or empathetic, even if it's a character who's not a very likable one. You don't always have to agree with them, but just try to put yourself in their shoes and look at things from their point of view. And your understanding of the story and the conflict and its connections to our own lives through themes really come alive. So that's it, a quick review of characterization, the 5 methods in which an author characterizes, and a few tips to help you when you read become a better reader of characters and help you better understand characters. So as a reminder for your WISC, W stands for watch, which you have just done. S stands for summarize, which you're about to do, and Q for question, which you're about to do. Write that paragraph summarizing the 5 methods of characterization, how they impact your understanding of literary work, and then write a question about characterization. It could be a question that you already know the answer to, or one that you want to know more about to deepen your understanding about characterization. Thank you very much, and that's it for today's video.